Good boy. Okay, stay. Okay, break. Good boy. Good job, Ken. All right. Yes, good job. Okay, Ken. Okay, Ken. Sit. Settle. Come here. Yes, good settle. Good job, buddy. Good job. All right, this video was showing threshold training. And the premise behind threshold training is having your pup sit and stay until they are invited through the door after you. So what you just saw is exactly what you're going to practice at home using your front door. You can do it with a front gate, etc. But what you'll do is you'll tell them to sit, you'll tell them to stay, you'll open the door behind you, you'll walk through first, and then invite him through afterwards using okay or break. The goal behind this is to help prevent door dashing. So it's important for a multitude of reasons, but the number one is safety. So we just want to make sure he is in the habit of sitting and staying and then being invited through the door, which helps prevent that door dashing where a pup sees a door slightly open and they try to go charging through to go on a big adventure in the neighborhood. Of course, as a dog owner, that is one of our worst nightmares. So we want to make sure there are a lot of safety measures in place. But we also want to make sure our dogs are in the habit of sitting and waiting to be invited through. The other reason this is so important is it's also just really great practice for impulse control and also the stay command. A stay is one of those commands where we do recommend setting aside time to build up his stamina with it, adding distance, adding time, adding distractions, etc. But the more you can build stay into his daily routine or impulse control in general, the better off he's going to be. And impulse control also helps with things like jumping and ensuring that he's doing some calm greetings, not charging out of the crate, etc. Impulse control is such an important skill for any dog to have, and practicing threshold training is a really, really good way of just implementing that practice into your daily routine. And the third reason is it also helps establish our role within our relationship with our dog. And now this is not to be confused with dominance theory or true power dynamics with our dogs. There is a very old school way of thinking in terms of dog training that's all about kind of showing dominance over your dog. And that's not really the goal here. The goal here is to just communicate with your dog in a way that they naturally understand, that tells them, okay, when we leave, especially the safety of our home, we're in charge of making sure that our pup is safe and not the other way around. We are not tasking our dogs with this giant responsibility of keeping us safe. We do not do any protection work here at Puppy Prep. We are all about raising really well-rounded, well-socialized, obedient members of the family, not doing, protective dog training. So in that sense, we want to make sure that every dog understands that it's our job to keep them safe when we leave the safety of our home, and that can help reduce the risk of things like leash reactivity, and then also things like separation anxiety. Not all separation anxiety comes from being alone. Sometimes we don't know it, but we're accidentally telling our dog that they are in charge of our safety. And then when they can't see us, it becomes really, really stressful because they can't do their job and they can't protect us. So by walking through doors first and then also standing slightly ahead. So say you're stopped to talk to a neighbor when you're out for a walk. You want to stand slightly ahead. Say he's here. You want to be, it doesn't have to be anything dramatic. You just want to be a little bit ahead. We don't want to be back here or back here. We just want to be slightly ahead, which also is just body posturing to him in a non, powerful way. We're not asserting a bunch of dominance. We're just communicating with him that, hey, we're in charge. We've got your back. You're going to be safe as long as you are by our side and listening. So that's also very important. One of my favorite examples of the power of threshold training in terms of not just safety and not door dashing and things of that nature, but really how deep it can go with the psychology for dogs is a 150-pound Mastiff Great Dane mix that I had in New York City. I was fostering him. We pulled him up from the shelter in the South because he was such a sweetheart. He was doing really great. But as soon as he got into my home to be fostered, he started showing a lot of reactivity towards men when we were on walks. Now, in New York City, this was extra stressful just because there's not the luxury of having space to get out of someone's way when you're walking the dog. So we did a lot of basic training, but The biggest difference was made through threshold work. And I walked through every single door first, not just the apartment door, not just the building door, but every door, inside doors too. So the door leading from my living room to my bedroom, the elevator door, the couple of doors that it took to get outside. And then every single time we had to pull off to the side or I stopped, I had him slightly behind me. And that really, really helped him. He was reactive, not because he was an overly dominant dog. He was actually a very, very submissive dog, but he thought it was his job to protect me, which caused him a lot of stress, and he was lashing out in that way. But as soon as he felt secure that it was my job to protect him and not the other way around, he made a complete transformation. He did so well with men too, and it was just really cool to watch. So that's just one example, but there are plenty of others that are very similar stories. But I just want everyone to understand the true importance of threshold training for multiple reasons. But of course, number one is safety. So always when you go out your front door, if you're going to take them on a walk, if you're going to take them on a car ride, etc., make sure you're implementing threshold work. But you can also do it with internal doors too. If you're going to take them in, to the room he's crated, you can do it. When you're taking him out of the crate, when you're putting him back in the crate, etc. If you're going through that door to go back in the room where he's crated, you can do it there. More practice, the better. The only doors we don't really do it here are with the back door. And that's because that's for potty training. That's where we want them to indicate. And when a puppy really has to potty and they're not 100% potty trained, or if their bladder just isn't fully developed, it can just be a little bit risky. So we prioritize potty training there because we don't want, them to be stopping and then accidentally have an accident. So he's doing really well with potty training. So I don't think it's an issue. You could probably do it with your back door too, but just keep that in mind. And kind of use your judgment there. If it's first thing in the morning, I wouldn't recommend doing threshold training with your back door or whatever your designated potty training door is. Then you are more than welcome to, of course, then use that door. Okay, that is threshold training. Please let me know if you have any questions. As always, we're here to answer any questions that you have and just make sure that, to help make sure that Ken is staying on track with all of his training. So set up your first virtual support session. Don't forget, super important. And we can't wait to hear all about how Ken is doing at home.